Well, Olivia, I want to welcome you to the Convert with Confidence Summit. I've put together this interview series for this audience who, they're budding coaches, consultants, and they really want to, they're either on this journey or they want to get started on this journey to becoming teaching what they're passionate about, regardless of whether it's like health or wellness or, business coaching. So Olivia, I want to thank you for being here. Can you tell the audience who you are, what you do, and what motivates you to do the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Olivia Chapman, or most of my friends call me Liv. And I am the co-founder and CEO of Inner Glow Circle. Inner Glow Circle, or IGC, is the first fully ICF accredited. ICF is the International Coach Federation, fully virtual and all women's training program in the world. We train and certify life coaches. And we also have, one of the things that we're, becoming most known for in the industry is our scholarship fund. So we offer scholarships for moms, women of color, and also service members and veterans. That's IGC. And how did I get here? What motivates me? I just got off the phone with our training director earlier today, and the most motivating thing for me is student success. So my background was a public educator. I worked in public education for nearly a decade before I joined forces with my partner, Katie DePaula, in IGC in 2015. And really the teaching and learning process and seeing students succeed and feel more confident and really excel in their skill set, that's what keeps me going. That's what motivates me every day. I don't think without it, I would do it anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I've definitely found like there's this place where like you learn something amazing, or you have this amazing gift or message to share with the world. But I was like, oh, I actually need a coach to help me actually help others. And so, you were going to say something along the lines.
Well, I'm just agreeing with exactly what you're saying, and I've been there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's great, like you've helped yourself, but like, right, like the way you've helped yourself may not be the same way. Like trying to translate what you learned to someone else is like, it's like a whole different skill set, right?
Absolutely. And one of the great barriers that we have found because the coaching industry in and of itself isn't really regulated, right? Like, if you have professional or personal experience that can support others, you can offer coaching services. One of the things that we run into with a lot of our students is that they've been coaching or calling themselves a coach for years, but there's this barrier of confidence because they want to be coaching, they want to be helping people, but they're not actually confident in their skills. They don't actually know how they're going to take a client from point A to point B, or outline their goals, hold them accountable, and actually, do more than just give advice, which isn't really coaching anyway. And, it kind of is that thing that ties all of those, skills and, like I said, professional and personal experience together and makes someone feel like, okay, now I can charge whatever I want really for my services, and I'll know that I'll be able to actually get client results.
Yeah. What would you say, like, why is that barrier there? Like, I know from a lot of the clients I work with as a hypnotist, there's the clients who are like business owners, and they want to charge more money, or they want to charge it all. And maybe they're working for free, or they're like, I feel like I'm undervaluing myself. Like, what have you found like a trend or a pattern in why people struggle to like ask for more money?
Yeah. I think the main thing is that when service providers, right, coaches or otherwise, don't really know what they're great at and what results their clients can get or have gotten, it tends to be this like gap, right? And that's the external evidence side, right? We do actually need an external evidence and proof and client success and testimonials to know that our work is working. I think that validates us, as a service provider, but it also validates the product, right? And any other market, you would do market research, right? And make sure that what you're selling works, it solves a problem, right? You need to make sure that what you're offering solves the problem. And I think that can really only happen through experience. And so one of the things that we are huge advocates of in IGC is it's a completely live course. It's not like a self-study, nothing against a self-study, but you can't get credentialed unless you have live classroom hours, peer evaluations, live evaluations by trainers. Like our students actually coach live and get feedback. And we start that from the beginning, and it's terrifying. And people are like, I don't want to volunteer. I don't want to go. Like that would be me too. But it's that practice that really builds confidence, and breaking down each skill, like active listening, powerful questioning, holding our clients accountable, and actually being able to say like, oh, I know how to do this and move my client along. So I really think the gap is just kind of like pulling the Band-Aid off and professionalizing the experience, and also getting feedback.
Yeah. I know for me, I'm trying to think back to when I first started, and then maybe some of you viewers watching can resonate with this. Yeah, it was scary to think about like putting myself out there. What became scarier was not doing anything. What became scarier was like doing all this training and just sitting on it and letting it kind of go stale. And I think that realization like got my butt moving. Like I got my first hypnotist certification, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. And I got boom right into starting my practice, because I was like, I don't want this to go stale. I don't want to forget this stuff.
100%. And I think putting yourself out there can be the scariest part. But I just remember even when I was getting started in my own coach training, I was coaching my friends. I was, practicing all the time. And it's just like people who want to be public speakers, right? Like speak in front of one person first, coach someone who you're comfortable with for 20 minutes first, and let it build and commit to the building process. I think that's really what increases confidence. And obviously when your confidence increases and your service and your skills gets better and better, you can, continue to increase the price or start charging at all. And a lot of our students start with pro bono clients. And if that's what it takes to have you, build your confidence, great. We can give back to the community and get you motivated,
Yeah. I love how you pointed that out. Like, I know a lot of people ask, well, how do I be confident now? Like, how do I do that now? And it's like, well, and as a hypnotist, it's like, well, you can imitate that feeling, like you can imitate that energy, but it's like, in order to really know, right, you actually have to go through and do the thing to get evidence back, right? So it's like, you can't be confident first. You gotta do the practice, assert your value and do the coaching, right?
Right. And I think what you touched on is so important. Like there is that, what I would call like being based piece, right? I kind of talked about the doing, right? Like here's what you can do to build confidence. But there is that, internal conversation that's like, you do have to practice embodying the woman that you're becoming. And one of the things I ask my students often is, put the vision back in the forefront for a minute. You see yourself working with all these clients, hosting these workshops, having retreats or speaking on a stage or whatever it may be. Look at the woman in the vision, right? What choice would she make today? She wouldn't sit there afraid to post something on the internet. She wouldn't sit there afraid to send an email to her friends, letting them know that she has openings in her practice, right? She would make different choices. And I think some of it is really embodying that energy. And we often name it in class. Like I had a student once named Mary, and she's like, if I'm like Mary regular right now, I would do this. But if I'm $1 million Mary, that's what she just called herself, right? This new like embodiment of her higher self. She could actually, distinguish between like, what would this woman do? What would the woman I'm becoming, choose or think or say, or how would she respond to this? And I think that's a good, kind of similar to what you said, being based approach to, I hate fake it till you make it, but like faith it till you make it.
Yeah, it kind of, I get the statement, but also I think like what's being insinuated is like, hey, just do your best. And then you're going to get better and better. And yeah, I guess, I don't know if we ever make it.
No, I don't even know what making it is. I'm like still waiting to make it. I'm like, when does that start?
What are we making?
Yeah, what are we making? Like, what's the end game? I mean, it changes, it evolves all the time. So
I get the feeling like, and I just finished up a session with a client who was like, well, how do I ask for more money? Like they've been in business for over 10 years. And, the minute I heard the cost, I was like, wow, that doesn't feel like premium to me. What about for those coaches and consultants and service-based providers who have been in business, let's say maybe 5 or 6 years, and maybe they've been at the same rate for a long time? Like, what message do you have for those people? Maybe they're like, I know deep down I deserve more because I have such an amazing thing, but like maybe they're afraid to like put that initial ask out there.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, bottom line when it comes to your rates is if you can't confidently tell somebody on the phone, then you're not there yet, right? So how do you get there, right? And a lot of people, myself included, we're human, like we do need some external validation. And one of the questions that I like to, get feedback on from our students and our clients, and we've had tons of students, like our course is expensive, obviously expensive is subjective, but it's a big investment, right? Of time, money, energy. And a lot of our students have said, well, I would have paid double, and it's like, you've got to get that feedback, right? So if you have a client and you say, of course, I always recommend any type of service provider sending some type of like feedback form at the end, right? How were things like in your life when we started working together? What has shifted? What surprised, what things have shifted that surprised you, right? Like, because oftentimes we go through this work with one goal, but it opens up all of these other doors, right? Especially when it comes to personal development and coaching and so forth. And say, from all of these changes that occurred, like, what would you have paid for that? A lot of times people will tell you they would have paid a lot more, right? And I think that's, again, some of that validation that we can get, which it just sinks in, right? If people tell you you're great at something over and over, that positive affirmation does shift things for you. You still have to internalize it and believe it for yourself. But you also have to separate yourself a little bit from your business, in my opinion, right? Like, you are a person and you're a brand, right? Or you're a company and you're a brand, but you also have a product or a service. What is that worth? What is the value of that? What is the return on investment that clients are getting? And it's not always financial.
Yeah.
However, our happiness, our confidence, our ability to work more effectively or efficiently or have better relationships or be healthier can be worth tens of thousands of dollars more than I put in 1,000, I got out 2,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love how you created that comparison, because I'm putting myself in that situation where like, I paid 3,000 for a coaching program, or I paid 10,000 for a coaching program. And then I just ask myself that question, what would I have paid in that long run? Probably triple that, maybe quadruple that, knowing ahead of time. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle on these sales calls, is because like, I think I've noticed this within myself in the past, is like just shutting down on like that prospect call, because like maybe the prospect says like, well, that seems kind of out of my price range, or let me get back to you. And there's all these objections. And then, we tend to shut down. Like, what would you coach someone to say if like you get that objection? Oh, it's too expensive.
I love coaching objections, AKA buying questions, right? The way I look at it is, if like somebody gets on a call with you, it's because they want what you have to offer, right? Obviously the connection has to be there, especially if it's like a one-on-one type of service, in a relationship. And obviously with coaching, and I'm guessing hypnotherapy and, even consulting, it requires some level of trust and being in relationship, right? And so obviously sometimes that's not the right fit. But if the person's on the phone saying, I really want to do this, but in my, view, that's just a coaching request, right? Like, coaching in its essence is the client wants something. They have a goal. It's a creative process, right? Like, they want to create something. My job as their coach is to support them in moving all the obstacles out of the way. So I want to sign up, but I don't have enough money. Okay, do you want to have a conversation around how to create the money? Or do you want to have a conversation around, making a plan to generate more income? You can invite them into that conversation without it being awkward. We do it all the time. We have like long-term financing through different banks and payment plans and scholarships and da, 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 da. And like, we're just like having these conversations over and over. But I think for anyone, it's an invitation to explore. If you know they want to do it, right? It's an opportunity for you to, have a more direct conversation with them about how to make it happen.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. It's like you're already a coach the minute you get in front of them, the minute you get on call.
Yeah. And we have to get comfortable with some of the uncomfortable, or like, society would say are uncomfortable conversations, right? Like, I grew up in a home where money wasn't even discussed. So for me, learning how to be present in a sales call and not let people's, especially financial objections really get to me. It took a lot of practice. And that's another thing. Like, we have kind of like archetypes on our sales team where we're like, okay, this person's a researcher, this person, acts on gut instinct. And there's different kind of archetypes, I don't know what else to call them, of, people interested in something, right? And practice those. We practice sales all the time, right? We're role playing and it's uncomfortable and it's awkward, but it's like anything else. If you want to get better at it, you have to practice it. I remember doing this from the beginning of coaching, and I left my teaching career and was full-time in my coaching business in less than 6 months. And I swear it's because I had a coach who's now my business partner who made me practice over and over and over.
Yeah. Yep. And just like, I just want to highlight what you just said about having a coach. I remember my first year in business and with all like budding coaches I talked to, I'm like, I'm telling you, the biggest mistake I made was trying to do it alone. Like, I spun my wheels. I burned out. And I somehow, like, I went to a networking event when I was just like, whatever, I don't care anymore. And she like revived me and my dreams. And I'm still with her today.
Oh my God, I love that. And it's like, if you're to say these, I don't know if you're like in a relationship or married, or obviously probably have friends and family, but if I go to friends and family or even my partner and I say, oh my God, like nothing's working, they're gonna be like, okay, they're gonna want to save us, right? They're gonna be like, okay, let's get out of it. Go do plan B. Or oftentimes, obviously, some people know how to support, but a lot of people in my life were like, okay, just go back to teaching, right? Like at first when I was like too scared, they want to protect you, but what they're really doing is kind of giving you a way out when you need people in your life, like coaches or colleagues or other friends who may be a couple steps ahead of you, to say like, listen, here's how you solve for that instead of back out of that.
Yeah. Yep. I can definitely totally relate to that. I remember when I got fired from my job like last year, and it was very interesting. Like my family and my friends I've been friends with a long time, I got like, oh, I'm sorry. And there was concern. And then all of my business owner, entrepreneur friends were like, congratulations.
Yeah. It's like one of those things. It's like, oh my gosh, like your investor, your job set you free, right? They know that you're ready to go out on your own now. You don't have to be tied to them, your corporate investor. And you can make anything a miracle.
But yeah, just jumping right back in, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time here left, but one thing I want to talk about, and I think all of this kind of circles back to this resistance, like this inner resistance that you talk about. And I was reading in your blog. Can you talk, like, I think this may be a lot like kind of abstract to some of the viewers. Can you talk about like, how do we know if we may be resisting like what we want, whether it's wealth or our own business or more freedom or more happiness or health?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I do think it's a little bit of an experiment with yourself to figure it out. So I think one of the things that you might be referring to is what you resist persists. So like if you have this vision, right, but you're resisting taking action on it, that resistance start to build up and you start to feel it again and again. And what you really I resist doing some things in my business. Like I am not like any different than anyone else listening or watching this. Like I don't want to check my email all the time. Like I'm like a little kid, like I don't want to. But at the end of the day, I say 80% of my work I love, 20% I have to do it because it helps me create the vision, right? Of course, you can hire things out and do, and all of that. But I do think that we have to say like, this feels uncomfortable. This may be something I don't really want to do, but if by doing it, will it move me closer to the vision? It's exercising that muscle that kind of gets us more out of our comfort zone for sure. But I think the way it's like negative resistance or you're on the wrong track is if the thing you're doing doesn't lead you any closer to the vision.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing where it's like intuition versus anxiety or, good resistance or bad resistance. You kind of have to look and say, but is this thing leading me closer to what I want? And sometimes staying in your job is leading you closer to what you want because it's helping fund your, investments to launch your business, right? But there will come a time when that's no longer, right? And if you don't take it, the universe will give it to you by, firing you or whatever. Yeah, the universe will, you have to trust the vision. You have to ask yourself, is this thing just uncomfortable because it's new for me, or am I on the wrong path? And I think everyone kind of knows deep down. And if you don't know, you can pray on it. You can, ask for the message in your dream, or all, there's a million different spiritual ways to get the sign, but then you can't avoid the sign if you ask for it, right? I know a lot of people like ask for, I want to see a butterfly if I'm on the right path, or this or that. And they're like, I wanted a different color butterfly. Like, you have to also accept the signs, right? So I have a feeling like if you're listening to this, you want something greater, right? You want to build your confidence. You want to be able to charge more money. You want to be able to actually take your business from like part-time side gig into full on, company. And you wouldn't be learning and listening and following you, Lydia, if that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you watching, whether you want to scale, whether you're kind of teetering on a decision, I love how you brought up that word intuition. I feel like always we have the answer deep down, but like you said, sometimes we tend to avoid it. I know for me, I do a sort of a comparison game. I'm like, oh, this becomes scarier than that now. Reporting to someone else becomes scarier than reporting to myself, or being without a coach now becomes scarier than being, paying the money for a coach.
Right. Right. And you said that a few moments ago. It's like not doing the thing actually sounds way worse. Right. And it's like, what kind of uncomfortable do you want? Do you want to be uncomfortable trying a new thing that's bringing you towards your goal and your vision and your purpose? Or do you want to be uncomfortable doing the same thing that has made you consistently uncomfortable for the last, 10 years or whatever?
Yeah.
I would just rather do the wilder thing, the new. But yeah. I also had to learn that the hard way. I mean, it happened.
Yeah. Sometimes we deep down, I know for me, it was the scariest thing being totally responsible for myself. And even, I even got comfortable with my business. And again, maybe some people here watching are there. Maybe you've been in business for a while and you're like, I'm making some income, like it's working, and you're comfortable and complacent, but you're like, I know I'm capable of more. Mm-hmm. And so I know for me, what really made a huge impact in my revenue and income was just the way I speak and present myself. Everything came down to how I presented myself. Like I was, again, maybe you viewers can relate. I was like a people pleaser for a long time. And I'm like, when I put myself in my client shoes, I'm like, I would never pay a people pleaser like $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month. And so I was like, who would I pay? So that's what, if a client came to me and they're like, I don't feel worthy of it. It's like, well, why? Who would you pay that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like an embodiment of like that vibration or that energy, right? And whether you can only kind of start to exercise that by, buying a $50 ebook or something and, grow into that, like it's just a different energy level, right? And I think if you want to become that, you do have to surround yourself with it.
Yeah.
And be supported by it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know Liv or Olivia, I know you have a free gift for this audience that can absolutely help them start to do that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So we have a free online course workshop, if you will. It's called How to Become a Certified Life Coach. Very, basic introductory, but if you are dabbling in coaching and you want to legitimize it a little bit more, or if you have these personal or professional skills, or if you're just the person, this is like most of our students, if you're just the person that everyone always goes to for advice, and you're like, this is actually, better than my job, I want to turn it into a career, this workshop will just map out all of the steps that you can take. And of course, we go into a little bit about our program, but also just what to look for in programs, that are out there, in the two areas of support that you must invest in order to be successful. So you can find that at innerglowcircle.com/become a coach.
Mm-hmm. We'll put the link below here. So for those of you who are watching this, go click the link below, go get this course. Like whether you've been in business for a while or you're just getting started, like go check out this offer. This link's only going to be available for the next 48 hours. These interviews are only up for 48 hours. So click the link below. Olivia, thank you so much again for your time. Like what a powerful discussion. I think a lot became clear for people in this short discussion. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, we got deep in a short amount of time. I love that. And I look forward to learning more about your audience and meeting all of you at the workshop.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.